name is Sarah Carnes, and I work with the Hope Project. And we are here at Spring Lake Central Park raising awareness of human trafficking and having a 5K called Run Down Human Trafficking to fight this issue, raise awareness, and then also to raise funds to help get a home open for girls who've been rescued out of sex trafficking.
Hey, how's everybody doing? It's good to see you. How you doing? Are you ready to get going? I'm excited. I just want to tell you I'm proud of every one of you because you got up this morning. You could be laying in bed right now. You could be drinking coffee, reading the paper. But you're not doing that. You're here right now. Good job. Well done. I'm proud of you. You're all winners. Right there. All winners. And in a little bit we're going to get the race going. And then the first person's going to cross the line, and they're the winners, and the rest of you guys are losers for a great cause, though. It's good, though. See? It's still a great cause attached with that. Now, when you guys run, some of you have been training for like months. You've been working at it, and you're ready to go. You're just saying, let me go. Some of you woke up this morning and were told, you're running. I don't care what you say. Either way, you're going to be going pretty quick. So if you're not physically ready, that's kind of in the pits now, right? And so the important part is the mental aspect right now. I want to focus on the mental aspect because your body's going to shut down probably halfway through. But your mind needs to be sharp. So some of you need to kind of focus and you need to pretend I'm an animal. To get through this thing, I need to pretend I'm an animal. Like I'm a pony running this thing. Some of you are going, I'm a pony, and you're thinking that to get through the race. Now the problem I have with that is a pony, if they're running and it hits kind of loose gravel, snaps its leg, what do we do with them? We shoot them and pull them off to the side. Don't be a pony. You got to have like the eye of the tiger. You got to have like a tiger, because an eye of the tiger, they just run. And what happens if a tiger were to snap its leg, it would just chew that one off and run three-legged. And it's already doing better than you with two legs. So be a tiger. So you ready to go? We have a little additional motivation. We rounded up 24 rabies-infested squirrels that we will release behind you, and they will chase after you to make you run faster. And even though they look kind of cute, the reality is they will scratch your eyeballs out and play hacky sack with them. So you will run faster because you'll see these little demon things running after you, and you go, I better go faster at least than the person next to me. And they can get them, and you're fine then. So now, do you feel ready to go? I am. I think it's fantastic. All right. Now on the count of three, we're going to just one big holler, and then we'll go. On the count of three, just say, I'll probably make it. 1, 2, 3. I think you can do better than that. You will make it. You're awesome. Well done. Giddy up.
Okay, well, the rest of you can run too. 5, 4, 3, 2, run!
Any of you that are hanging out to watch and support your family members or friends, if you'd like to help via timing when you come in, we would love your help. Yeah, that's a yes? Sweet. Yeah. Oh, I think I threw it in the maison.
Hi, Kevin. Hi, my name is Sarah Carnes, and I'm the Director of Communications at the Hope Project. And this 5K was awesome. We had a great turnout today. And I'm with Melinda, and she is a survivor of human trafficking, an incredible woman, powerful advocate, loves people so well. And I just wanted to just thank you, Melinda, for coming on out here and sharing your story. Anything you want to say?
I enjoy coming out here and sharing my testimony and encouraging others to, awareness brings, prevention, and that's what it's all about. And I think by the turnout that was here today was outstanding, and working with the Hope Project and the things that we do is totally bringing awareness, and which is preventing someone else's and saving some other little kid's life from trafficking, and even not only in the sex trafficking, but in the trafficking of working slave industry too, slave trafficking in the work industries as well. But our goal is to bring, awareness to the need, not only in awareness of the human trafficking, but the awareness of children needing a place, a facility with care that can give them an ability to get, the healing that they need from post-traumatic stress disorder care. And like sharing my testimony is to let people know that there is a desperate need for, if I would have had that counseling, it could have, advanced me so much further. And my goal is to get them while they're young and to get the counseling that they need so that they can be transformed. But really, that's what you guys do. And do you want to give them more information?
Yeah. Okay, so what the Hope Project is, we are in the process of opening up a home for girls 11 to 18 years old who've been rescued out of sex trafficking. And so in the home, we'll be able to house up to 6 girls at a time. And right now, we are fundraising, trying to get money to get this home opened. The home is built, and we're finishing construction on it right now, but we're still raising the funds so it can be sustainable. So if you would like to get involved in the Hope Project, we would love for you to get involved. You can go to our website, hopeprojectusa.org, and there's lots of different ways, different opportunities, like Ride for Refuge coming up October 5th, which is a bike ride. If you want to get involved in that, check out our website, hopeprojectusa.org. We also have a thrift store on Laketon in Muskegon, 185 Laketon. It's called Hope Chest Thrift Store. And come on down. Like, one way to fight human trafficking is to give us your old stuff. And we would love to take it, sell it, and then help further the cause to fight human trafficking and raising awareness of what it is. And another thing we do is we speak into high schools and middle schools, churches, different organizations. We've done training for different people who could see a victim of human trafficking. And if that interests you, please email us, info@hopeprojectusa.org. Send us an email, and we would love to get in touch with you to bring awareness to your community. And again, check out our website, hopeprojectusa.org. Call us. Our phone number is 231-747-8555. But it was a great event. Thank you, Melinda, for coming out, sharing your story, and educating people on what this is and that it's happening in our communities.
Hi, I'm Holly Hughes, running for state representative. Jobs are my #1 priority. I worked in the state legislature on a number of bills to help with jobs here in Muskegon County. I've also worked locally on the Veterans Job Fair. We started that 3 years ago, and it continues today. Education is also my top priority. I worked hard on the Promise Zone legislation to make a difference for kids who want to go to college who can't afford it. I know that you and I both want a Muskegon County where our kids and grandkids can grow up and live. And in order to do that, we need jobs and a strong education. I'm Holly Hughes. Your vote is important to me. I ask for your support for state representative. Thank you.
The best way to stay healthy? Exercise your voice. At the new Mercy Health, we believe that carefully listening to you and encouraging you to take an active role in your own health care is an important part of keeping you healthy. So you'll find our extensive network of physicians not only use the latest technology, they focus on what you have to say. Your voice, our expertise. Mercy Health.
And I work with the Hope Project, and we are here at Spring Lake Central Park raising awareness of human trafficking and having a 5K called Run Down Human Trafficking to fight this issue, raise awareness, and then also to raise funds to help get a home open for girls who've been rescued out of sex trafficking.
Hi, how are you? Oh my goodness, it's cold, sorry. Thank you guys for coming out here. And like, this is the 4th year that I've been out here too, sharing my testimony. How many of you in here actually know what human sex trafficking is? Could you raise your hands? All of you, huh? That's awesome. I want to share a little bit, and I'm not going to go into detail because we got so many little ones here, and that's important to make that very clear to them that in this world there is some really, I was raised up in a home where my mom and dad weren't the greatest of people. My mom was a very insecure woman and very codependent. She had a, well, yeah, she's an amazing woman of God now, but she wasn't for a lot of years. I was trafficked from the time that I was a little girl, from the earliest in my memory, into my teens, and then when I got free, I thought we were free. I had gotten rescued out of that home, and my mom was able to take me and my other siblings somewhere else, but I ended up having to get put right back into it in a different form. I was raised in a small town, in a country town here in Michigan, and when I was in my later teens and I got re-trafficked, it was back out in the city, in the suburbs in Detroit area. And then by the time I was 15, I was pushed off to a dope dealer to be married to him and to be with him. And I remember, I never really shared this before, but I remember being in this house that, you think this is where you're going to stay, and it was just a mattress on the floor. I mean, he come home, and I barely had food. I worked at the little pizza place, the Little Caesars next door, and I would take my stuff home from there to eat because we didn't have a lot of food and stuff. But I never really realized how horrific the details of trafficking were in my life until I was sharing my testimony with Sue Martineau. I had just got done at the hospital like a week prior to meeting her, letting my mom know that I was so sorry she never got a chance to know me. See, I gave my life to Jesus Christ when I was 27 years old, and it was a few years after that, he began a transition in my life of healing that no words and no doctor could ever have done for me. He did amazing work in my life. Well, he had brought me to the place where I recognized I was no longer subject to my abusers. You have a thing called Stockholm Syndrome where you feel like you want to always say positive things to the abuser because you don't want to ever, be hurt or feel like they're going to control you again, you know what I mean? Well, I had been at the hospital seeing my mom, and I'm going to share this part of the testimony of that. My little girl who was here today, Shahasi, was an amazing girl. She was outside with her grandmother one day, and I can share this because she was there. She was outside with her asking her grandma why she was so mean to her mom. And my mom said that she never was. Well, my little girl must have been an investigator because she had went through some papers in my house, and there was court documents stating how horrific my childhood was. And she brought those out to her grandmother. Just a couple weeks prior, my mom had had heart surgery done, a cabbage, where they opened her chest up. Well, when my daughter showed her that, I didn't know any of this had happened. All I knew is my mom come in the house, and she was, all of a sudden, really, she started running a fever, and that opening in her chest, this chest that was sealed shut, started opening. And I was like, oh boy, we had to get her to emergency. So we took her in emergency. And the hospital was, trying to do what they were going to do with it, because at the time she was just visiting from a few hours away. I went home real quick, and when I got home, I found out from my daughter what had happened. This was in 2008. And I was kind of devastated. I had a Christian friend there that said, because my daughter said, Mom, she said you lied. And I was like, wow. Well, she shared that with me, and my friend that was there that was Christian had told me, God's going to make it so your mom never comes back here again. And I'm thinking, how can that be? I'm the only transportation she's got from the hospital. And I didn't get it. Well, I got a call not even 2 minutes after my friend had said that. Said, we're transporting your mom where she had her surgery by ambulance back to where she had her surgery at. And could you bring her stuff? And I knew at that moment was the first time in my life that I ever had a boldness rise up in me. And I went into that hospital with my best friend, who never even knew about my trafficking lifestyle that my mom brought me up in. And I told my mom, I'm sorry you never got a chance to know me. I'm sorry that you allowed the devil to steal that from you. The shame and the guilt that hid you from the reality of who I really am. I said, but Jesus and I have both forgiven you. And one day, when you can walk in that freedom, then maybe you can get to know me. Until then, I no longer want you in my life. And that was God's way of dealing with it. I would have never fathomed that. Like, God was really concerned about putting a boundary there in my life. It was the first time I ever set that boundary. Well, as I was saying, it was a week later, I was at a yard sale, and if anybody knows me outside of here, I am a Jesus freak 100%. He took me from hardcore. The way he hit me, I mean, people say, I have experiences like that, but then they don't know Christ the way that I know him. Because he had to hit me like that. He totally took me to a place that was just like, he was real, okay? So I was always excited. So I'm seeing this yard sale. Everything was $1. And I went up to Sue Martin, all that was there. And I'm like, oh my God, there's cheap stuff. Everything is $1, I'm like, okay, I can get this and I can get that, and I'm looking at all this stuff. She said, and I started telling her about what happened with my mom. I shared with her how it was the first time in my life I ever stood up and said that, and I feel like thousands of pounds were just shred off me, And she said, honey, can I talk to you about something? And I was like, go ahead. She says, you know what this yard sale is for? An organization called the Hope Project, who rescues girls out of sex trafficking. And I was like, what's that? I had no idea. I didn't even know I was a victim of it. I didn't even know there was a reality to me. And she shared it with me, and she gave me some information, and I went home. Well, it was not too long after that. A few other things happened in my life, and I started speaking and sharing my testimony for the Hope Project. And for a long time I did it not knowing what could happen in that. As I shared my testimony, anybody knows that the truth of your testimony sets people free. And it defeats the power of Satan in your life. So in areas that I was bound in, each year I've noticed other levels of freedom. But at the same time, there was so much heartache to go through that. You didn't have no way to know how to deal with it except for the Holy Spirit. I didn't have counselors. I didn't have people. And it was this year was the first year the Hope Project has ever offered counseling for adult survivors. I mean, they've helped with, some survivors individually, but a group therapy. And it was the first time I'm going in there. I'm so used to working with survivors and I work with a bunch of young men from 15 to 24, I would say, that are they were total troublemakers when I first, and some of them still have a hard time. But out of the 89 I work with, I would say there's only 10 that have never been sexually abused. So God has a heart for them too. So as I was working with these people, you come in that mode of where you want to go out and you want to educate. And you know what? Because you guys are here doing what you're doing, you're thinking every step. Every time you've attended one of these things or an event for human sex trafficking, do you realize in West Michigan there's now a higher percentage rate of recognizing traffickers, and there's been more bust on that kind of thing? You guys have all participated in that. By being a voice and saying, hey, you know what? You go into your front, hey, this is what it looks like. Can you believe this is what happened? Word of mouth has spread around here that it's getting harder and harder for them to hide. And that's a good thing. But as I was saying, going into that counseling session, It was the first time I had to say, no, I'm doing this for me. And you know, there's people that want to, you know, like, because they see me all over the place. They're thinking, Superwoman. And I'm thinking, right? No, I still go home and cry. And that was my biggest thing last year that I was sharing, is I go home after these things and it's like, oh my God. Because another level of you is being exposed. You're being exposed at levels where people are looking at you and you're sharing something you never even wanted to talk about. But you look at it as, I don't look at you guys as just people anymore. And this is what counseling has done for me. Because I have been an antisocial person. I can talk to people, yeah, sure, they'll come up and talk to me after things, and it's like, yeah. But when it comes to relationships with people, I never had them. Never. Destructive relationships with, you know, in marriages, relationships. This is the first year that I'm like, oh, wow. I bonded with people. Amen. And the depths are because people like you have been consistent in my life. I see people come show back up here, and it ain't just because you're showing up for me, but you know, sometimes I think God shows me that favor, like, well, He lets me feel like that. Well, look at that, you know, me and 1,000 million other women like me. You guys seen I had value. The whole project seen I had value. And now, now it's amazing. I'm working with Create.com and Kathy Bruins. My book is almost finished, of Exposing the Darkness. Going to 32 different countries, 8 different colleges. Let me tell you, and in the midst of that, in the midst of all this stuff, working in ministry with the Hope Project, and I do that because I love this place and I love what you're doing, Karen, and that you never stop believing that there's an answer. That's the thing. It looks so hopeless. I remember when Jeff and Sue even thought this was hopeless, you know? I remember going out sharing my testimony, and I watched them go through so many transitions in their own lives that it's like, wow. Because they stood and said, you know what? I love these people. There's plenty other Melindas out there, and we want them to know we've heard them. And they haven't stopped. None of them. So, I mean, and neither of you guys. I mean, look, and I pray that when the ones that maybe it might be your first time here, if it's your first time here, don't stop. Keep running. I mean, no matter what you do. I got a daughter, she's training for MMA when she's older, right? She fought one MMA match, and people think it's just like karate, okay? Everybody's like, you let your daughter fight? It's like, I didn't want her. You should have seen me. I was like, oh my God. You know? But let me tell you what. She went and fought that fight. And she did it representing that other women, other young girls can be tough too. And she did it that way. And she won. She got a medal. I was like, the side of my Christian side kind of went out the window watching her fight, like, kick her butt, get her! You know? I was like, oh, girl. I was like, okay, we're not doing that no more. She goes, oh, I was like, amen. But she won. And to me, that's what it's about. And she's always telling me her favorite saying from Rocky, it's not how hard you hit. And it's not how hard you get hit. It's that you get back up. And that's the thing. Go out there and spread that. And then and keep your eyes open for the things to look for in your schools. Girls, I'm telling you, and kids in school, you are the biggest. It was a student that actually told for me, that saved my life. You think that you're going to get in trouble or something bad. For years, she thought something bad happened to me because she told a teacher. But let me tell you what, me and that girl are friends now. That girl saved my life. So remember, when you're in school, you can make a difference. You see some kid with lots of bruises and their mom or dad's being mean to them or something's happening at home, you go tell your teacher. I don't care if they say, please don't tell, please don't tell. You better run and tell that teacher. And tell somebody, because you can make a difference in somebody's life. And I want to thank Kristen for the work you do with the doctors. She's like, I love these educated people I get to work with. I mean, they're like extremely educated. And they get to go in those realms where it's like, sick them, get them. You know, because they're going to listen to her. Why? Because she's been where they've been. She's a doctor. Where you can relate. like with Sarah, she's like works with a lot of younger students, right? These girls that are always happy like her, right? We had Shayasa, we were just talking about that today. She was super happy. But wherever you're at and wherever you have that ability to touch somebody's life, do it. Because it's changed mine. And love is the biggest part of that. Love. So I am all done. I'll give this back to Karen.
Have you had enough yet? When you vote, do you hold your nose? Do you vote for the lesser of two evils? A Republican Party that wants to waste time on social issues and legislate morality while supporting big business and rich fat cats? A Democratic Party who has never seen a project that they couldn't spend your money on, taking from you to give to someone else. Well, in Muskegon County, we have a chance to change this. Independent candidate Alan Jagger doesn't want the money that would buy his vote. Alan believes in smaller government, less regulation, and local control. He supports fixing right to work, part-time legislature, and returning money to local government and schools. No more taxes, fees, or fines. You can send a message by voting independent. Alan Jagger for 91st District State House of Representatives.
The Health Hut, located at 3112 Henry Street in Norton Shores, offers a full line of natural and organic groceries, including fresh produce and free-range, hormone-free meats, eggs, cheese, and dairy provided by local farms. Taking pride in carrying products which contain no preservatives, additives, or unhealthy fats, their wide selection of allergen-free foods can accommodate most specialty diets. From frozen desserts and entrees to pastas, baking mixes and cereals, to soups and salad dressings, to chips, candy, and other snacks. The Health Hut. We have your good health in mind.
Good morning. I'm Fred Johnson. I am the director of the Muskegon County Office of the Public Defender. Our role in the community is to provide quality legal services to those folks who are who do not have the financial resources to pay for them in the private party. We have been in business for almost 4 months now, 5 months. We are representing folks in the criminal realm, in the juvenile court, and we also represent clients in the neglect and abuse realm. Part of obviously our role is to do things in courts, but also what we're doing is we've taken a very strong public stance in terms of public outreach. For instance, this week, as part of Law Day, we'll be having an expungement clinic. The purpose of expungement is to help those folks who have very minor criminal histories get those histories removed. Quite frankly, having something on your record, whether it's a misdemeanor or a felony, prevents people from getting jobs. It prevents people from getting apartments. We've been getting stories from folks who are prevented from going on to school trips with their own children because of their criminal history. And we want to help folks get over that, get to the point where they can get to some normalcy, pay taxes like the rest of us, have normal lives like the rest of us. We've also done things like going out to the local high schools. I stand here representing a team of lawyers, 10 lawyers who go out to local high schools, talk to children, talk about staying in school, staying out of trouble, and the consequences that happen if you can't do those things. We've also been involved in raising money for relief from the typhoon that just hit the Philippines just at the end of the last year. So we have a very strong, very powerful outreach. We'll be at job fairs talking to people, talking about having lives as lawyers and having lives as educated folks and what that means to you. We also bring in a lot of folks for training. A lot of students are going to come through our doors, maybe 30 or 40 every 4 months, and they'll be trained to see what lawyers do and what we do in the courtroom and in life. We have a shop here where that has to be run, and they'll be trained how to run the law shop, and they'll be trained what we do in the courtrooms, and they'll get to meet people, they'll get to meet contacts who hopefully down in life can be a good positive role models for them. But we're doing all those things. We're brand new. Our role is constantly expanding. We're hoping to be involved in other projects this summer. We have a very strong group of people who want to do things to help raise money and information about cancer research and other things that affect the community. We are a very outgoing group, and quite frankly, even though we're doing all those things, in my impression, we're practicing the best law I've ever practiced. This is a stellar group of attorneys who are providing very high quality legal services for the community, and I think it's something that we should all be proud of, and I certainly am. I'm from Grand Rapids. Born and raised there, and you may have noticed there's a pin on my lapel. It's a portrait of Thurgood Marshall, who was the Supreme Court Justice. It is because of him that I'm here, basically. I've read a biography of him back when I was a child, I was 11 years old, and after reading the biography, I decided to become a lawyer, and I haven't regretted the step. I've enjoyed my practice. I've been practiced mostly out of Grand Rapids, but I would come over to Muskegon on occasion, and back in September of this year, I became a permanent resident in Muskegon as I become the director here. My background was in criminal defense, which we're doing here, but also a background in a lot of community activism. I like to be active in the community. I like to have a church home. I have church and civic involvement with the Rotary Club and other organizations. So I've always wanted to be in a sort of a service situation, and I think by coming here and being part of this organization, I've really fulfilled a great deal of that early aspirations that I had of being somebody who helped other people. There are a lot of call for what we do here. There's a lot of demand for it. It'd be nice if we could help everybody, but we help such a large portion of the folks who come in front of us. It's very rewarding work. It's what I've trained for in 25 years of practice. I've been in the Navy. I've been a prosecutor. I've been mostly defense lawyer. I was even on the parole board for a while, but now I'm Muskegon's own, and I do what I can to make sure that we have the best criminal defense that's available under the law, and that the folks of Muskegon are the beneficiaries of that.
Hi, my name is Linda Scudder. I am the legal secretary for the criminal division of the Muskegon County Public Defender's Office. I take care of all of the paperwork that comes in, all the notices of hearing from all the courts. I take care of every file. I make every file. I calendar every file. I help pull the files for the attorneys. Each attorney has pretty much their defined roles, although we work as a team and we help each other out when necessary. I also answer all the phone calls that come in. Right now we are fielding a lot of calls for the expungement clinic coming up this weekend on the 3rd. Other than that, a lot of people call to ask regarding the status of their case. So I look up their case on the court computer and find out where they're at and let them know what courtroom they're supposed to be at and what time. I also do all the calendaring and put each of the individual notices on the calendar and then assign those to the correct attorney. Another thing we want to make sure is that all of our clients know when and where they are supposed to show up to court. They are usually issued a notice to appear. Sometimes the address changes, and so they don't receive that. So they call this office, and I make sure that they know where and when they're supposed to go to court. If they don't go to court, they end up with a bench warrant, which we are trying to prevent. So we want to make sure that all of our clients know when and where they're supposed to be in court.
My name is Mary Farrell, and I'm an attorney in the Muskegon Office of the Public Defender. I handle felony cases. Mostly I'm assigned to cases that are in front of Judge Tim Hicks. I handle those from the time they are bound over to circuit court, which would include a pretrial, any settlement conferences, pleas, jury trials, or sentences. We try to keep one person with the same attorney all the way through their circuit court process, and for the most part that seems to work pretty well. However, it is nice to be in an office where you have people who can fill in for you if you have other issues. For example, I was in a jury trial last week, and then there's other attorneys here to back me up and take over the cases that I don't have time for when I'm in trial.
Hi, my name is Joe Fisher. I am the chief of the criminal division in the Muskegon County Public Defender's Office. I've worked with public defense for many years. I was a contract attorney before the county formed the Muskegon County Public Defender's Office. I'm pleased to be here. I think that we provide excellent service for the indigent folks in Muskegon County who get to avail themselves of our services. My primary duties are to supervise the circuit court attorneys who handle felony matters. As part of that, I will function as the pre-preliminary examination attorney. I am the first attorney that anybody who is appointed to us would meet. That's basically a meeting that occurs within 14 days of a person's arrest. There are also preliminary examinations. Part of my job is to explain what that particular hearing is about. That occurs very early in the process. Then I also will assign myself cases for trial as they go to circuit court and provide backup for those attorneys who are in circuit court. I can echo, I think, what my boss and the department head here, Mr. Johnson, said earlier, and that is that I've been practicing law for many, many years, and I can't say that I've practiced better law than what we're practicing now. It's a great help to have very talented other attorneys working with us, and I think the folks who are lucky enough to have us appointed to represent them are getting just very, very fine legal representation.
Hello, my name is Tim Bracey. I'm the Office Administrator Coordinator for the Muskegon County Public Defender's Office. Part of my responsibilities include public outreach and education in the community. If you like our organization or agency rather to come and speak to your church group or civic organizations, we're able to do that. We want to inform the public of the services that we provide as we are new to the community and have a staff of 10 public defenders and 4 additional staff members, 2 legal secretaries, myself, and a host of interns and externs throughout the year to support the work that we do in the community. This weekend coming up, we're having an expungement clinic that's going to serve the community with respect to having individuals supporting them with respect to removing criminal convictions off their records. Our office also takes part in the crime prevention program, which goes out and speak to Muskegon County middle schools, elementary schools. We provide full-scale representation with respect to criminal offenses at the circuit court level, and we represent children in juvenile court as well as probation matters that come through our system as well.
Hi, I'm Amanda Mateer. I work with the Family Division of the Muskegon County Public Defender's Office. We cover neglect abuse cases that typically come in through Children's Protective Services, through the Department of Human Services. We also handle delinquency criminal charges. Any juvenile that is charged age 17 or younger, at the age of 17, obviously, they usually go into the adult system, but if they're less than 17 years old, they're charged in the delinquent juvenile court system here with Muskegon County, and we handle those cases as well. The criminal juvenile cases we handle everywhere from prelim until sentencing throughout their probation. The neglect abuse cases, which is primarily more of what I do, we handle right from the preliminary hearing until either the children are returned to their parents and the case is closed, or until other options are explored, such as terminating parental rights and the children eventually get adopted, or we do a lot of guardianships with relatives or even foster parents at this point. Typically, we are representing the children in the neglect abuse cases. We do represent some moms and dads, but primarily we represent the children. What we do in those cases is we often work with the caseworkers at DHS. We also consult with the other attorneys, but the biggest thing we do is we represent the children, and one of our requirements is that we have to meet with all of the children prior to every court hearing. That doesn't matter if they're with relatives, it doesn't matter if they're in home with their parents, or if they're in a foster care placement. We meet with every single one of these children, whether they're 3 months old up until even if they're 18 or 19 years old and still in the foster care system. We meet with them. This not only helps us make sure that the children are doing well in their placement, but to also assess what it is the children's best interests are. That's the key term we often use in these cases, to determine what is their best interest in where we're going with the case. If it's in their best interest to continue to try to reunify them with their family, or if we should seek some other alternate route, such as terminating parental rights and having them adopted through the foster care system, or if we should possibly continue to let them have contact with their parents, but if we determine there's no way in the near future, given the child's age, that they can return home, if it's in their best interest to continue in their placement, but not terminate parental rights, not adopt them because various reasons such as their age, they just don't want to be adopted. So we can do what we call a juvenile guardianship. So there's a lot of that we do. We also, in our division, one thing I didn't previously mention is we handle probate cases. One of our attorney, David Williams, he often goes to Northwood in Hackley Hospital, the psychiatric department, when people are detained there to determine if they need a mental competency hearing. He also handles adult guardianships, people who, for whatever reason, due to mental incapacity, may need a third party to make decisions for them. So he often does home visits such as that, and then will represent them in court.
In this country, over the course of its history, Americans have fought and died and struggled to make sure that American citizens have certain rights. One of those rights is the freedom of speech, the right to vote, basic rights such as that. And one of the most foundational, one of the basic rights we have is the right to a fair trial. And the fair trial happens only when both sides are equally represented, when both sides have the ability to tell their story to a group of partisan individuals who then decide who's right, who's wrong, who's guilty, who's not. And that's where my organization comes in. That's where the public defenders come in. We provide quality representation for people who have been charged with crimes and who need that sort of representation and quite frankly, aren't in a position to pay for it themselves. Whether or not a person gets a fair trial should not depend on whether or not a person can pay for it. And under our system with this office in this existence, that's the situation. Everyone's going to get a fair shot here. Everyone's going to get due process here. Everyone's going to live within the Constitution and receive the benefits that all these service people and our ancestors fought and sacrificed for. They're going to be there's going to be fair trials in Muskegon, and that makes me very proud. I'm very excited. That's something that you work your whole career for, you strive for, and it's always been a dream. And quite frankly, it's never been closer than it is right now. We work with a bunch of top-notch lawyers, experienced people, dedicated people who want to see justice done. And quite frankly, I think that's what the people of Muskegon are receiving.
Muskegon's Hackley Public Library is an excellent source for help, information, and great entertainment on virtually any topic. The friendly, knowledgeable staff is always available to help you with finding information on any topic you need. They can help you with using the free public access computers, and they look forward to showing you books, audio CDs, DVDs, and much more. Whether you live in the city or outside, the Hackley Public Library in downtown Muskegon is there to help with everything imaginable.
I believe you should have a choice in who your next circuit court judge should be. My opponent was appointed by Governor Snyder only months ago when a sitting circuit court judge retired. I'm here to give you that choice. My name is Brenda Sprader, and I'm asking for your vote on November 4th in the general election. I have the right courtroom experience, having worked as a public defender, representing Muskegon County's youth in their juvenile proceedings and helping mothers, fathers, and children through their abuse-neglect cases. I also have a law firm in Muskegon County where I practice family and criminal law. I have the right courtroom experience. I have the life experience, the integrity and the drive that Muskegon County needs on their circuit court bench. I'm asking you to vote for me, Brenda Sprader, on November 4th to be your next circuit court judge.
Paid for by the committee to elect Brenda Sprader for Circuit Court Judge.
Performance USA, the greatest entertainers in America, as requested by you, the fighting men of the United States Armed Forces throughout the world. This weekly radio program is governed by your letters. Joe Jeep commands in the War Department of Bays. Anything from a song by Judy Garland to the sizzling sound of a sirloin steak. As this program is being performed in a Hollywood studio, a master recording is made from which transcripts will be shipped to Army and government-operated stations all over the world. Strictly for you men overseas, no matter how small your outfit. And speaking of little things and trivia in general, here's old General Trivia in person. Your commanding officer of this command performance, your old sidekick, and Chief Scout of the Wolf Patrol, Bob Hope.
Thank you very much. Thank you. How do you do, fellas? This is Bob, Command Performance Hope, telling each Nazi that's in Russia today that Crimea doesn't pay. I'm now getting my material from H.V. Kaltenborn. Well, I'm a little tired tonight. I just got back from Camp Roberts, drove down 200 miles in a Jeep. Tomorrow I get the Order of the Purple Callus. But I had a swell time, and I slept right in the barracks last night with the boys. You know what barracks are. That's 2,000 cots separated by individual crap games. But anyway, let's hit the harmony trail to all APO and FPO numbers. For Fletch, Alfie, and Dooley, and for all of you everywhere, the girl who can defuse a blockbuster with one kiss, Miss Betty Hutton.
Thank you. Hiya, fellas, and hello, Bob.
Well, hiya, Betty. And say, I want to congratulate you on your big hit in our new picture. It's nice to see a youngster coming up.
It's nice to see an oldster holding his own.
Well, that's fine. And now, Betty, as one of the 3 flying Huttons, will you answer a slew of command performance requests and strafe us with that 50 caliber tune? He says, murder, he says.
Finally found a fella almost completely divine, but his vocabulary is killing this romance of mine. We get into an intimate situation, and then begins this Romeo's conversation. He says murder, he says, every time with kids. He says murder, he says, at a time like this. He says murder, he says, is that the language of love? He says solid, he says, takes him in his arms and says solid, he says, meaning all the charms. He says solid, he says, is that the language of love? He says, chick, chick, you torture me, zoot, are we living? I'm thinking of leaving him flat. He says, dig, dig, the jump the old ticker is given. Now he gets no plainer than that. He says murder, he says, every time we kiss, he says murder, he says, keep it up like this and that, murder, he says, in that impossible tone, will bring on nobody's murder but his own. He says Jackson, he says, and my name's Marie, says Jackson, he says, shoot the snoot to me, says Jackson, he says, is that the language of love? He says, whoop, whoop, he says, when he likes my hat, he says, what the heck is that? He says, whoop, whoop, he says, is that the language of love? He says, hep, hep, with helium, now, babe, we're cooking, and other expressions to it. He says, we're into groove, and the groove is good looking. He sounds like his uppers don't fit. He says murder! He says murder! And away he says murder! And that impossible tone! I've told him over and over and over again that it'll be nobody else's murder. Boy, but his own!
Yes, sir, a vitamin pill with legs. How about that? Thanks, Betty Hutton. and also the 370th Army Air Force Band of the San Bernardino Air Service Command. Well, gang, command performance has filled many an order for those sounds that remind you of home, from the bleat of a billy goat to the fizz of a bourbon and soda. And now comes the Ordnance Gang at 863 with a letter from Sarge Everett Hankey and Corporal Roland Lipton and this little dilly. It says, Dear Command, enclosed, please find peace off top of Stuka Dive Bomber, for which you will please have Lana Turner come out and fry us a 3-inch porterhouse steak smothered with onions, and let's hear it sizzle. Just to prove there's no request too large, fellas, here she is, Lana Turner.
Hello, fellas. And hiya, Bob. Say, have the FBI men found a steak yet?
Yes, it's backstage, but Lana, this is dangerous. If this audience sees steak, they'll come right up here after it.
Oh, I don't know. They've seen ham all evening, and you're still here.
Right now, I'm vacant. Lana, let's get on with this thing. Be a good girl and let's fry that steak, huh?
Okay. Bring on the porterhouse steak!
Well, look, they got an armed guard around the steak. Oh, look at this.
Well, all right, Bob. Is your griddle hot?
Yeah, I think so.
That'll do, Bob. Now, the steak, please. Oh, well, here it is, fellas. Beautiful. A porterhouse steak 3 inches thick. The only one in captivity.
You're going to give that a hot foot?
Into the frying pan.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. There you are, fellas. That's the sound of a steak sizzling.
Fellas, that's the steak. That's not me sizzling. That's the steak.
And, fellas, I wish I could cook a big steak for each and every one of you.
But now for the whole AEF, for the Army nurses and Red Cross girls, civilian workers on the fighting fronts, and for the 512 gang who signed themselves Squarehead Bakowski, Cyclops Sink, Body Meeks, Stuka Martin, Incendiary Stasi Wahi, and Sad Sack Jack. Here's one of your all-time sweethearts, another command performance for that lovely sweater girl, Judy Garland.
Thanks, Bob. Hiya, fellas. Sweater girls. Bob, why are men so crazy about sweater girls?
I don't know, Judy. That's one mystery I'd like to unravel. Fellas, one of your favorite combinations. Judy Garland singing Over the Rainbow.
That you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you birds fly over can't If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, why can't
Thanks from America to all our men in blue, our boys in khaki too, our tough Marines, our Coast Guard, our Army nurses true. We thank you so much. And thanks to our brave allies, the gallant Russian bear, the British everywhere, the free French and the Chinese, and you Latins way down there. We thank you so much. Fellas, this doesn't rhyme. One of these days soon we'll be seeing you. And meantime, this is Bob Hope thanking you for those letters to Command Performance, Armed Forces Radio, Los Angeles, USA. Speaking for everybody on Command Performance and saying the best of the best from the USA. So long.
She's on her way, men, from us to you, every week till it's over there.
Hello, Jimmy Johns?
Jimmy John's here.
What took you so long?
Jimmy John, freaky fast delivery.
I love the men in uniform.
In the 150 years we've been in business, many things have changed. Our greatest achievements are rooted in the things that haven't. Years ago, the person you called banker was also the person you called friend. When it came to service, there were fewer layers and friendlier smiles. And banks earned the trust of their customers and community while working tirelessly not to lose it. At Independent Bank, all this remains true today. Sure, we've made advances that help customers bank more conveniently and more comfortably. But at the end of the day, we know that people really need a trustworthy partner committed to their financial goals, dreams, and aspirations. And we've been happy to be that partner since 1864.
Muskegon's only International Ground Source Heat Pump Association's accredited installer, Assured Comfort Heating and Cooling has been a family-owned business for 17 years. A Bryant dealer specializing in geothermal, energy-efficient furnaces, Assured Comfort can install new heating and air conditioning for both residential and commercial properties. They can upgrade your existing system, provide you with a service maintenance contract, whatever it takes. At Assured Comfort Heating and Cooling, it's all about value.